evening. Welcome to the national news on I-FLIER 103.3 FM Ibadan. I am ESTHER. ATILOLA. First, the headlines. President Tinubu appoints key nominees for Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board Governing Council. Oyo Speaker Ogundoyi consoles late Governor Jimobi family over eldest daughter's death. In education, federal government set to begin work on stalled National Library project in June. In sport, Ademola Lookman wins Striker of the Year, King of the Pitch Award ceremony. Now the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu has approved the nomination of 4 new members to the Governing Council of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board. The Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, said the appointment is to fill existing vacancies and strengthen the board's capacity. The approved nominees are Olusegun Omoseyin of the National Insurance Commission, Engineer Wole Ogunsanya of the Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, Sam Onyechi to represent the Nigerian Content Consultative Forum, and Barrister Onwe Onyabo for the Ministry of Petroleum Resources. President Bola Tinubu has received Ghana's President John Mahama on a courtesy visit at his official residence in the State House, Abuja. Mahama, who arrived at the president's residence around 2:30 p.m. today, is visiting his Nigerian counterpart for the first time since his inauguration on January 7, 2025. The meeting, which is ongoing, is expected to focus on strengthening diplomatic ties between Nigeria and Ghana, as well as discussing key regional issues within the economic community of West African states. Both leaders are expected to explore areas of mutual cooperation in trade, security, and economic development. In the meantime, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has revealed that it is now in the final stages of preparing for its highly anticipated listing on the capital market by the provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. The Chief Corporate Communications Officer, NNPCL, Olufemi Shoneye, who made the announcement in a statement released today in Abuja, said the company's Chief Finance and Investor Relations Officer, Olugbenga Oluwaniyi, hinted at the development during a consultative meeting with partners at the NNPCL headquarters. Shoneye listed the areas of partnership required to include investor relations, IPO readiness advisors, and investment bank partners, adding that the company with the best offer in terms of project partnership would be selected for each of the 3 categories. A bill to create the Office of the Prime Minister as head of government and the Office of President as head of state, and to provide for a framework for the mode of election to the offices, has passed a second reading in the House of Representatives. The bill was among 32 constitution amendment bills that scaled second reading in the House of Representatives today. Also among the bills is a bill for an act to alter the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, to provide for specific seats for women in the National Assembly and State Houses of Assembly. Also a bill to review the status of the Federal Capital Territory as regards the election of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and bills for the creation of one state and Gobir state equally passed second reading. Meanwhile, the Rivers State chapter of the Nigeria Labour Congress has emphasized that workers remain apolitical and should not be made to suffer the consequences of the ongoing political crisis in the state. In a communique issued after its State Executive Council meeting today in Port Harcourt, the state capital, NLC State Chairman Alex Angwanwo reaffirmed the Congress's stance, aligning with the positions of the Organized Labour, the Trade Union Congress, and the Nigerian Labour Congress, and strongly opposing the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State. The NLC called for the immediate implementation of the 70,000 naira minimum wage at the local government level in the state, and also urged the state government to sustain the early payment of public workers' salaries and wages, while advocating for a transparent and peaceful reconciliation process to resolve the ongoing political crisis in the state. Now let's join Marvelous Shobalujo Edele for education news.
The Minister of Education, Suji Alausa, said the federal government plans to complete the first phase of the long-delayed National Library project in Abuja by June 2025. Alausa, who spoke during an on-the-spot inspection of the project today, said the phase would include 2 basement levels, the ground, first and second floors, and external works like perimeter fencing. The minister attributed delays to variations in the Bill of Quantities, stating that despite funding constraints, an innovative approach would see work resume by mid-year. And lastly, in education, the Lagos state government has expressed a desire to improve students' academic performance and reduce dropout rates by providing modern school infrastructure. The state governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who was represented by the Commissioner for Housing, Moruf Akinderu Fatai, disclosed this at the commissioning of 12 blocks of classrooms at Ilupeju Community Grammar School, Ilupeju, and he cited research highlighting the impact of well-designed educational space on students' performance. He affirmed his administration's vision of developing a competitive public education system. That's the education news for today. I am Marvelous Shobalujo Edele.
You are listening to the national news on I-FLIER 103.3 FM Ibadan. The news continues shortly. Please stay with us. Welcome back now to the rest of the news. In the Paysetter State, the Speaker of the Oyo State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Adebo Ogundoyin, has described as a colossal loss the death of the eldest daughter of the late Governor Abiola Ajimobi, Bisola Koladaisi, who died in the United Kingdom at the age of 42. Ogundoyin, in a condolence message issued in Ibadan, expressed heartfelt condolences to the family of late Governor Abiola Ajimobi and described Bisola's death as an irreparable loss, not only to the Ajimobi family, but also to the people of Oyo State. The Speaker, however, extended his sympathies to Dr. Florence Ajimobi, Bisola's mother, and the entire Koladaisi family, praying that God granted them the strength and fortitude to bear this irreparable loss. In entertainment, legendary Fuji musician Pasuma has finally settled a dispute with his former protege, Taye Currency. Recall that the rift began when Taye Currency in October 2024 disapproved of fans referring to Pasuma as his industry father, emphasizing that Pasuma is more like an elder brother and can't father him. The reconciliation, however, took place in Mecca at the ongoing Umrah 2025, as the two Fuji stars were seen in a now viral video on the internet, sitting closely and engaging in a discussion. Now let's join Pelumi Adioshun for sports update.
Super Eagles and Atalanta forward Ademola Lookman as the match striker of the year and king of the pitch at the 11th Pitch Award ceremony held on Tuesday. The ceremony, which followed the World Cup qualifier between Nigeria and Zimbabwe, took place at the 4 Points by Sheraton Hotel in Uyo. Other winners included Rashidat Ajibade as queen of the pitch, Stanley Nwabali, William Troost-Ekong, and Alex Iwobi also took home awards in their respective categories at the 2025 Pitch Awards. And finally, in the world of sports, the Niger Delta Sports Festival has assembled a team of renowned coaches and scouts to oversee the scouting and mentorship process, aimed at discovering and nurturing the next generation of sporting talents from the region. Heading the initiative is Gabriel Okon, an experienced athletics coach, alongside Anthony Konyegwachi, an Olympian and national team coach who will lead the boxing team. Godwin Hena, chairman of the festival's Scouting and Mentorship Committee, expressed his gratitude to the former Olympic champions Daniel Ugali, Yusuf Ali, and Professor Sadiq Abdullahi, a former Nigerian tennis star, for recommending several promising athletes across various sporting events. And that's the Sport News on I-FLIER 103.3 FM. Olumi Adioshun is my name.
Samson Omotosho is on standby for editorial review for today.
The ordeal of South Sudan's bright stars and Libya of the Nigerian Tribune and the growing imperatives of state policing of the Guardian newspaper are the editorial review for today. Starting with the Nigerian Tribune. This week, in yet another terrible, disheartening and shameful development in African football, the world was treated to the ugly spectacle of the national team's players detained and stranded at a Libyan airport. This time around, it was members of the South Sudan national football team, the Bright Stars, who were the victims of the accustomed cruel treatment of club and national sides on the continent. According to reports, the team landed at the Benina International Airport in Benghazi, Libya on Sunday, March 23 for its 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier against Sudan, scheduled for Tuesday, March 25, only to face horrors. Via its X handle, the South Sudan Football Association reported that its delegation was stranded for 3 hours at the airport due to the absence of representatives from the Sudanese Football Association who were expected to manage the reception. Worse still, the Libyan migration authorities allegedly seized the passports of the South Sudanese delegation, leaving it in intense agony. The paper concludes by saying both FIFA and CAF must take a very serious look at this incident and save the beautiful game from getting into further disrepute on the continent. Although national pride and emotions are often implicated in a win, a football game is ideally only just a game. It is not war, except on a psychological plane. It needs not descend into a game of brutality in which visiting teams are treated worse than even animals ever should. Now to the Guardian. As Nigerians await the government's final position on the imperative of state police, the unceasing torrent of daily criminalities reported across the country points strongly to the inevitability of the proposed order. State police offer an inspiring option to tackling crime. Nigerians should therefore reaffirm support that states should have their own police alongside the federal police that the federal government manages. The federal police, as they currently exist, have proven inadequate in managing Nigeria's enormous security challenges. It is therefore time to work out the required constitutional and administrative changes to accommodate state police. Therefore, lawmakers should conduct due diligence when the bill or bills to create state police are discussed. Together with robust public participation, it is the people who should shape the debates. After all, the taxpayers will pay the bills and determine the extent to which state police will be successful. The legislature must ensure that the law enabling state police considers each state's peculiarities. Stakeholders should do away with sentiment and think of the opportunities inherent in its decentralized policing structure. Nigerians demand that the legislation to enable state policing be balanced and sufficiently robust to provide assurances to all sides. State policing is a sine qua non for true federalism. That is the standard elsewhere, and Nigeria cannot be the exception. That's the editorial review for today. I am Samson Omotosho.
With the editorial review, we end the national news on I-FLIER 103.3 FM Ibadan. But before I go, here's a recap of the main news. In the news we told you, President Tinubu has appointed key nominees for Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board Governing Council. In the Paysetter State, Oyo Speaker Ogundoyin consoled with late Governor Jimbombi family over eldest daughter's death. In education, federal government set to begin work on stalled National Library project in June. And in the exciting world of sport, Ademola Lookman won Striker of the Year, King of the Pitch Award. The news is packaged by Marvelous Shobalujo Edele and edited by Adetunji Mohammed. You can easily be a correspondent anywhere you are. Kindly send an email to iflyernewsroom@gmail.com and follow us on our social media platforms at I-FLIER 103.3 FM. Many thanks for listening. I am ESTHER ATILOLA. Good evening.
Fresh news,
local and foreign,
business,
entertainment,
and sport on I-FLIER 103.3 FM.
This